I call the July 10th meeting of the school committee to order. Let me do a quick walk through the agenda, and then we will jump in. So we'll start tonight with public comment for anything that's not on the agenda. We'll have our focus on excellence. We've got a nice crowd here for that. We'll take the consent agenda. We'll move into reports. We've got our two representatives to the ACE committee here. I'm hearing myself muted. There you go. Thank you, Tom. We have our two representatives from the ACE committee here who will provide us with an update on what's going on there. And then we'll probably take, I think we're going to take two of our financial items out of order. So adult meal prices and the pre-Q4 financial update. We'll move into a quick update on the school year 25-26 calendar. Review and approve both the RMHS student handbook as well as the district-wide student handbook. We will vote to appoint the superintendent, or we'll consider voting anyway, to appoint the superintendent to our two collaborative boards. We will discuss and potentially review and adjust our liaison and subcommittee appointments. We will discuss and vote on a letter to the select board regarding PEG services, and then a quick discussion on our continued MASC membership. That sounds like a lot. Most of those are relatively quick, I think. And then we will adjourn to executive session to discuss contract negotiations with the superintendent. We will not return from executive session. So that's our agenda for this evening. And we will start with public comment for anything that is not on the agenda. Is there anybody who'd like to speak tonight? Okay. With that, we'll go to the focus on excellence. Dr. Malachewski, do you want to kind of tee us up here?
Sure. Well, we are thrilled tonight that Benjamin Goldlust is here with us tonight. For those of you who don't know Ben represents the absolute best of the best in our community at the high school, I think in terms of character, in terms of academic excellence, and also in terms of extracurricular activities, particularly in the arts. Ms. Cuna, who just walked in as well, recently shared that Ben had put together a documentary highlighting the impact of the arts on both our current students and also our alumni. And given that we think one of the most important things in our community and one of the things that makes our community special is our focus on things outside of the classroom, we thought it was fitting to allow Ben to showcase what he's put together so the community will be able to see it too. So he's trimmed down the video, the documentary, which was close to 20 minutes, down to around 10. So we wanted to show that and then invite him up to be able to answer any questions or share anything else that he'd like to share as well.
Ben, did you want to talk a little bit before we roll the video? Could you just join Laura up here at the, at the table here, please? Also, nice shirt. Seeing them next weekend, or 2 weekends from now.
Oh, I'm going too.
Oh, there you go. All right. Are they playing at top? No, they're playing in Portland. Go ahead, Ben.
So my name's Ben Goldlust. I'll be a senior this September, and I was inspired to create this documentary titled "The Show Must Go On" because of the generational impact that the RMHS Drama Club has had on so many. I've always felt like there's so much work that gets put into the club and so much value in the experiences that students get from putting together a show or taking one of the theater electives that can easily be overlooked. I wanted to paint a broader picture with this documentary of what RMHS Drama truly has to offer that you might not see from the audience. I hope that RMHS can use this to show its pride in its arts programs and to promote future participation and investment in these fundamental resources. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
In elementary school and middle school, I was never a particularly successful kid, and honestly, it was getting the opportunity to take on leadership roles and do challenging things that made me become a really ambitious and successful person.
RMHS Drama Club, it really has been a sanctuary for a lot of students, who have been bullied, students who don't fit into the sport kind of stereotype of high school that's so common. And I don't know, I just think that people can really find a passion here, and it's something that's really worth protecting.
Everybody wants everyone else to do well, and I feel like in sports sometimes it's you're competing with people, but it's everyone's working together to get the same thing done.
I think we often take sports very seriously, and we see that as something that you practice very hard for, but when you think of theater and drama, you don't think of that practice, you don't think of that discipline.
I was much more resilient to my failures because I was really confident in my strengths. And I think having that within our curricular day is so important. I think students need a place in their day to feel like they're mastering something or that they're embarking on their own interests.
I think that they're
Here with us. In the interest of securing our meeting, Tom just turned off screen sharing, so he's got to let me back in.
there. You're now host, so you should be able to do it.
All right, let's try that again.
Everything else should be correct now.
There we go. Sorry about that.
School or just want to try it out.
I've only taken one. I took technical theater as a sophomore year, and it was really interesting class. I learned about like set design and like how to paint sets and like all the different crew positions that exist in technical theater. And it was just a really interesting class, and I was really happy I took it because it was like just so different from any other class offered like that I took that year.
You know, I think UNA designed the class really well, and the fact that the different parts of the class people could relate to their own interests and sort of taking. So like there was a speech unit of the class where everyone had to like give a speech about something they're passionate about, and some kid did like one about golf, and then another kid did one about like electric vehicles, and then you know other ones did something about like you know, civil rights and injustice and things like that. So it was just this wide array of things that people are passionate about with people that I would probably never really interact with or wouldn't have interacted with outside of class. So I think some of those classes, because you get those people that are really interested in theater, but then also those people that are just doing it maybe for a reason because they need a requirement or they just had an open slot. And I think that really like brings, you know, maybe uncommon groups of people together.
I had 2 children that did the improv, and to be able to respond in the moment to a prompt and not know how someone else was going to respond to it, I saw them grow in their confidence, in their ability to laugh at themselves and at each other.
I don't think people really understand, like being part of improv really opened up kind of how I interact with people even today. Just a lot of like communication techniques, stuff like that. And it's something I never would have had the chance to do without drama.
It teaches empathy. And also in this age of AI technology developing so rapidly beyond a way that we're able to really legislate or you know, make rules around, I think skills in critical thinking and media literacy are more important now to kids' development than ever before. And Drama Club is something that teaches those skills. Theater is something that makes you think critically about the words that you're sharing and what you're looking at and determining what it means and where it comes from.
You know, a lot of times when we would get roles, you do a lot of character study, looking into, you know, why does this character think this way or that way? And so you do a lot of introspection that I think is kind of carried forward for me as a doctor.
Especially because I want to go into audio hardware and stuff like that with electrical engineering. Doing everything related to sound has definitely helped me with that, and something I can use towards that.
As an assistant stage manager, I have to be in charge of people backstage, so I've gotten better at being able to resolve conflicts and like be an authority figure.
My youngest was a club officer, but the other 2, while not officially officers, really learned how to be leaders, interact as a peer leader with their friends, which can be difficult, but they learned it's a great life skill and learned how to interact with the adults of the club, you know, and taking on more responsibility and learning how to recognize what needs to be done without being told what needs to be done.
The curtain is going to open, people are going to be sitting there, and so our deadlines are real, living, breathing things that students have to adapt to, improvise to reach. And that's not necessarily, it's theoretical in other places. We hope that students will be resilient. We hope that they'll rise to the challenge. Theater puts it to the test.
I think it builds a lot of confidence, and I think it also teaches people to be patient and to trust a certain process, or even to question a process sometimes.
You really learn how to work with people and like how to like make sure things don't all fall on one person.
Because I'd been set on like a STEM career in biomedical engineering since like first grade. So I was like, oh, there's really no point in trying. But the drama club, it showed me that it makes people really well-rounded, and it's really important to be able to also have like a humanities perspective.
The arts give back to the community in a sense of showing stories that need to be heard, helping us express the emotions we're working through, bringing all sorts of people together.
I was sort of the original PSST member and got to watch that group form and grow. I've seen relationships that were made then that are still in force now, decades later. I had the experience of watching the kids succeed in small ways and in large ways. It was really very fulfilling as a parent and as a community member, because I've always felt that the drama club and the theater experience that comes out of the high school is a gift to the community in many ways. It's not just the performances, it's the kids themselves that go out and do volunteer work and community service and just, you know, incorporate what they learn in that program and bring it back to their community.
A lot of people struggle meeting new people and like talking to their coworkers or talking to their boss, because that can be like a really scary thing. But I think what Drama Club did was like break that outer shell.
I'm friends with people from every grade now, and I feel like I have a solid group of people that I talk to because of Drama Club.
I personally try to make as much of the work that is produced student driven and student done and developed. You know, I think that it's lost that people see a table on stage and maybe it's on stage for 5 minutes in one scene, but that table was nothing more than a couple of boards at one point and an idea that maybe the director had, and then a student figured out how to design it, and then another student figured out how to build it, and then another student did the actual construction, all for a table that could be on stage for 5 minutes.
I think it's like one of the most important things that we can do as educators is to expose kids to the arts and also give them the opportunity to access them.
So much of what Reading is proud of its students is its excellence, whether it's athletic excellence or academic excellence, but the arts reach and ask for that same level of excellence.
I would not have as much support as I do because the advisors and my friends are truly my family in this club still.
A lot of the people involved in those arts programs and stuff are sometimes the closest thing that people have to like coaches and mentors.
I don't think I would have known that I wanted to be a teacher so quickly, but I feel like I wanted to share with some of my students like the same things that I had shared with the teachers and the mentors that I had in drama, and that was so inspirational to me that I went into college like knowing I wanted to pursue that career.
And I don't think I would have gone to Tufts, where I went for college, if I didn't do theater. I wouldn't have continued to do theater in college if it wasn't for how great of an experience I had in high school. And then maybe I wouldn't have gone into medical school if I didn't do theater. So I really do attribute a lot of importance to my participation in it.
What word or phrase comes to mind when you think of the RMHS Drama Club?
Community. Opportunity.
Effort.
Inclusive.
Be yourself or play someone else.
Connection.
Sanctuary.
Family. Childhood.
Inspiring.
Multifaceted and teamwork.
Fun.
Any questions for Ben or comments?
It's amazing. How can we see the whole thing?
The full version is available at rmhsdrama.org. It's on the homepage.
I think it was also linked in one of the emails we got this week. Okay.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
One thing I really liked about it is the way you highlighted the different things that people in different roles in theater took out of it, not just on stage roles. I thought that was really, really good. Anything else from the committee? Oh, yeah.
I think, Ben, incredible job. Really, really well done. And I think Natalie nailed it with what a high bar of excellence in the program. And I think that's reflected here in what you showcased. My question for you is, I know you're entering senior year, thinking probably a lot about future plans. I'd be interested to hear, how has theater for you personally impacted your journey thus far? And also, how is it impacting what you see as sort of what's happening for you in the future, both college and beyond?
Well, I feel like in general, it's given me so many skills that aren't even directly theater related, such as me being able to speak before you. I feel like theater has given me a lot of confidence and public speaking skills. I think it's taught me how to think about telling a story. I'm planning, right now my plan is to apply for film school, and so that's definitely going to be helpful. I've gotten to meet so many wonderful people, so many like lifelong friends I feel like I'm gonna continue to have after high school.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So we don't let anybody off the hook after being the subject of Focus on Excellence without taking a photo with us. We have to embarrass you for just a minute, and then we'll let you go. You can just join us at the front of the table.
You don't like it either, Ben, just FYI, so.
Speak for yourself.
Yes, but that's a lot.
I hate having my picture taken.
Center stage, obviously. Those notebooks, do you?
Can you spot
Yeah. Do you keep the old ones?
I do.
Yeah.
Stash. I usually go back, so.
Okay.
And I coded my date too, so I have.
Okay, so we will move on next to the consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Laura. All in favor? Sorry, could you come up to the thing so people at home can hear you? Dr. Corum?
Jeffrey Corum Ridgewood, just a completely trivial thing, but in the minutes from last meeting, it was Carla Nazar was nominated for vice chair.
No,
just wanted to make
it
sure
actually
that-
wasn't her. We were nominating somebody else entirely. So it's a good catch. We'll make that edit. Thank you. So with that edit, any other comments? All in favor? All opposed? Consent agenda passes. We will move to reports. Dr. Nowakowski.
Great. Good evening, everyone. Happy summer. We'd just like to give one thank you, and that's to our local state legislators, Senator Jason Lewis, State Representatives Brad Jones, Rich Haggerty, who helped secure $225,000 in state earmarks for the Reading Public Schools, which is incredibly exciting. As you may know, over the last couple of years, their earmarks have helped purchase digital Nord keyboards in our digital music pathway, and also recently the autopsy table. The $225,000 will go to a couple of things. First, $75,000 was allocated towards a van for our 18 to 22-year-old LIFT program, which will allow our students to be able to get integrated into the community for job and career opportunities more frequently. And also then the other $150,000 for capital improvements sort of in any way that we see to improve our community. So more conversations to be had with the committee and the committee on that $150,000. Those funds, while are in the state FY26 budget, the funds have not yet been released. They're sort of being held given some financial uncertainty, but we feel confident that those funds will come sometime during this fiscal year. So I would just like to thank those legislators for their advocacy at the state level for what will be some pretty impactful infrastructure for the Reading Public Schools.
Thank you. And then liaison reports. We'll start with Laura.
No
Probably
report.
don't have any yet.
Not
right?
yet.
Yeah, maybe
Still
we'll figure
waiting.
that out tonight. Sarah?
No report, no real report. RCTV board met, there was just kind of updates, general updates as well. So I know we're talking about that later as well.
Yep. Tom?
No reports.
Carla?
I forgot about reports.
So Killam is moving right along. We have a Killam School Building Committee meeting on Monday. In the next few weeks, we're going to be doing a geothermal test well, which will help us to determine what our, the geothermal wells are going to be used for our HVAC system. So it will help us determine the size and depth and everything of our wells. So we'll be doing that over the next couple of weeks or so. It was supposed to happen this week, but there was a problem with the drill rig. At our meeting, we'll get a further update on the external design of the building, which it looks really beautiful, and the internal design too. It really is like coming together and looking really nice. So we've just been having a ton of meetings, but it's been great.
Erin?
No reports.
And no report from me. So I promised 7:20 on the money. Here we go. So the Ad Hoc Commemoration Establishment Committee was established in November, I believe. We have joining us tonight Ryan Johnstone and London Stith Nichols. You could just sit at the table there. Yep. Who are our delegate and our student representative respectively to that committee to share an update on what the committee's been working on. So take it away.
Yeah, thank you for letting us come here tonight. So just a reminder to everybody, and especially anybody listening at home, my name is Ryan Johnstone. I am the school committee's designee on that ACE committee.
My name is London Stith Nichols, and I'm the student representative for the school committee.
So since I gave you guys the update last time, and London, I know, gave hers also, we attended the Friends and Family Day, and we also attended Juneteenth. So we got an opportunity to get a table set up and actually get out there in the community, which was great. So Friends and Family Day was our first event out there, and as you know, mostly attended by local Reading residents, not a lot sort of outside of the community. And one of the themes was very few people were aware, we got a lot of people coming to our table, very few of whom were aware of Bill Russell and his history, not even aware he even lived in this town. And of them, I don't think anybody knew that we existed as a committee or what our charge was. So it was really great to start getting the ball rolling in that community engagement. It is one of the direct charges for us as the committee. And then we rolled that into Juneteenth. And I think London has some stuff she wants to talk about that.
The Juneteenth event was a great experience. We had a lot of community members show up. I was planning to work the table at the ACE table, but I ended up working at a different table. But I had like a very good view of the ACE table, and from what I saw, there was a lot of oh my gosh, sorry.
It's okay, you're great.
I'm nervous. There was a lot of sorry.
Deep breath. We don't bite, I promise.
You got it, London, we got you.
There was a great turnout, and I noticed there was a lot of adults and kids going up to the table, and everyone seemed very interested and engaged. And similar to what Ryan said, hearing feedback from other community members, a lot of people didn't seem to know who Bill Russell was, and even people who knew him, who maybe know him as like a basketball player or an amazing athlete, they didn't know about his work being an activist and working in social justice. So that's one of the things that I hope that we can work on, and we can help change, especially with the students here in the school system, and finding ways to like engage more with the students there.
Yeah, and it was, one of the cool things for me about Juneteenth was it was attended by a lot more regional community members, so from a lot of towns over too, who were very interested in hearing that Reading was doing this, that Reading was trying to honor Bill Russell and address our history. And so we did get a lot of names on a mailing list that we do plan on doing that I know London will talk about in a second. But to wrap up Juneteenth really quick, so we also, we gave a statement at Juneteenth. Today, only a few hours ago, so I understand if no one read it, I was able to give a copy over to Sean to circulate. Just generically, I wanted you guys to get eyes on what we did say. I can also say RCTV has the Juneteenth video up now, and our statement is actually at the very beginning of it. So as you press play, you can hear our statement be made by Taylor Gregory, who is the chair of the committee. I just want to highlight some of the themes really quick. So basically, we started off just really addressing that, what Reading is doing to just be generically bring more awareness and inclusivity into the town, right? The ACE committee, as I was putting some of my thoughts into that statement and thinking more about the town and especially about MECO and similar style programs, I came to realize, ACE committee really is an extension of what the town and the community's been doing now for years. It's not a new thing, it's not a one-off. So we wanted to really highlight that to everybody that was listening also, that this is what the town is really doing and really focusing on. This is not a one-off just to kind of get it out of the way or check a box. So we highlighted that up front. Talked a little bit about Bill Russell and the background, but we didn't want to focus on that too much because we didn't want to make it a statement about Bill Russell. We wanted to make it about our committee really quick. So we did talk a little bit about his experience here in town, just so people understood why we were created and what our purpose was, and then really wrapped it up with our community outreach, right? We said point blank in there, we want the community to start coming to our meetings, to start giving us feedback. And so towards that end, at Friends and Family Day and Juneteenth, we got about 15 or 20 names to sign up for a mailing list. And so at our last meeting, we talked about what we're going to do with that. And London raised her hand to help out with that. So if you want to talk about the mailing list we're going to be doing?
Yeah, I'm going to help with managing the mailing list, and we're hoping we can use it as a tool to help connect with the community more, and help maybe reach out. If we have events happening in town, we can reach out to them or let them know, get more engagement, because we really want to let people know who we are, and let people know who we are, and also know that they can participate and share any ideas they have, and if they have any questions, or if they just want to learn more about Bill Russell.
Yeah. And especially any feedback. I think we'll be pushing on that, if anybody on our emailing list, email us with your thoughts on things that we can do, right? It is part of the charge of the committee to try and get that feedback from the community and find ways to field it. And then the other thing, so that's one of the big things we're rolling out over the next few weeks or so as we get that set up. Another thing the committee is really working on right now is trying to find standing funding in town. So at our last meeting, we as a committee really looked back at our charge again, now that got a couple events out of the way. Now, okay, what are we going to spend the next 6-7 months doing? And with that, what we really identified is there's a couple things that us as the ad hoc committee have to get done. But then we are making recommendations to the select board for a longstanding program. And so over the next few weeks or so, we're going to be, next couple of meetings, I should say, we're trying to find funding sources in town for what we're going to be doing as a committee, which is very limited because we're not a standing committee. There's only so much we can do and so much access. But then more importantly, where can we find those pockets in town for funding for any longstanding program that we want to recommend? The charge specifically tells us to find town funding for it. So that's what we're going to be digging in on. I plan on trying to talk with Sharon Angstrom to try and get an idea of where we're at and get thoughts on that. But I think, like I mentioned last time also, the idea of doing something in a longstanding program within the school system has been brought up over and over and over again, as well as some of the ad hoc recommendations that we got at Friends and Family and Juneteenth from the community. It was like, oh, you can do it education programs in the school. And I was like, yes, we can. So I think I would guess prepare. I think at some point, I don't even know how to mechanically roll this out, but I think we will want to try and engage with you all about, hey, is there something even within the school budget that could be allocated towards a program in certain parts? And I don't know where that would be, if it could or not, but as well as just pick your brains as more seasoned individuals in town that understand how we could do some of that. So I'm hoping by August, September, we have more concrete ideas on what we want to do with our programs, and we can put together a more comprehensive presentation and a read ahead about what we plan on doing, and then hopefully get some feedback from you guys on thoughts on that and ways that we can execute it. Anything else, Linda?
Great. Questions from the committee? Tom?
First of all, thank you both for the update. Despite the nervousness, you did a great job. So,
Thank you.
Don't worry about that at all.
Thank you.
Can you remind us, what the sunset date is? How much time do you have left to figure this out? So we can think about where it fits on any schedule that may come, if you want to come ask about any budget stuff. And our budget season kicks off in late November/December, so just want to see what alignment there might be.
So my understanding, I need to get, I want to get some clarification on that from the town. Because Sean, like you said, it was, so that the committee got passed in Juneteenth. A year ago is when the select board created it. But they didn't open it for volunteers until November. That's when they got around to interviewing us. And we didn't really have a quorum appointed and sworn in until January. So I don't exactly know when our sunset is. My understanding is it's November at the earliest, because that's when they posted it for even volunteers. But I do think it's January, because that's when we actually had a quorum. But I do want to talk to the town about that. I will say it can be extended. That's our sunset date that can always be pushed out. We have spoken about that as a committee last time, as we again looked back at everything we need to try and get done over the next 6 months or so. So I anticipate that we may end up requesting an extension of that at some point. But it really depends on how far we go over there. So, yeah, so to answer your question, I don't know exactly, but I think somewhere in that November, January range is what we are looking at right now as the on-paper date.
So I just answered my own question, you probably did too.
Yeah.
It looks like it's already expired technically.
You should probably check in with the select board sooner rather than later. In the charge, it says accordingly, the committee shall sunset 12 months from vote date. Yeah.
Which would mean technically your sunset, but I don't think that's fair necessarily to your point, right? So, but definitely the two chairs or the co-chairs or whatever, talk with them and get a request that it be extended appropriately.
Yeah, no, I appreciate seeing that. Yeah, thank you.
Maybe a related question. So as you think about transitioning from an ad hoc committee to more of a standing committee, it's probably early to answer this, but any preliminary thoughts on how the charge of the committee sort of evolves?
So we are charged with making recommendations to the select board for longstanding programs. And what we as a committee spoke about last time was that recommendation could be potentially transitioning this from an ad hoc to a standing committee. But that's not official yet. We're not sure what kind of that program will be. It could be trying to, asking Office of Equity and Social Justice to pick this up. Like, there's a lot of options for that. And the only thing I think we really got out of the last meeting towards that end was realizing there's a lot of different ways that we as a committee are also individually interpreting the charge of a longstanding program. And I think that really came out as we started talking about it. So hopefully it's on our agenda for the upcoming meeting in July to start talking about that longstanding program in more concrete terms. And hopefully by August or September, we'll have a better understanding. And then in which case, if it is a recommendation about a standing committee, I'll be able to answer that question a little better about how that charge would look like.
Great. Anyone else? Laura?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that from that long-term perspective, I think that it is a fantastic idea to incorporate something more formalized into the school curriculum. I think that has the potential to have the dual benefit of introducing kids at a really young age to some of these important issues that oftentimes people aren't eager to talk about with young children. But I also think that it would have the benefit of educating upwards. So you both mentioned that at the events that you did recently, you encountered a lot of people who had either no familiarity with Bill Russell in general or no familiarity with his association and experiences in Reading. And I think that if we have a situation where we can create around the dinner table a conversation where we say, what did you do at school today? And the kids are able to say, well, we learned this about Bill Russell, and we learned about the context of that. I think that's a really amazing opportunity to reach people at older ages as well. So yeah. I definitely am interested in participating in figuring out some curricular kind of ideas for that.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. One of the individuals, I think it was at the Juneteenth, they all kind of blur into one, was a preschool teacher though in the area who said the exact same thing. Yeah. It's like, oh, we should be able to get some curriculum even at the preschool age to start teaching us. So yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Great. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep. Okay, we are going to, actually, let's move to the calendar update. That'll be quick, and then we'll take our two financial pieces out of order. So Dr. Milczewski, do you want to tee up this next agenda item?
Yeah, so tonight we are seeking a vote from the committee to approve an amendment to the SY 25-26 calendar, school calendar, to update what is the early release day on September 26th from 1:05 PM to 12:30 PM at the high school. And that is to accommodate a joint PD session between our high school and middle school staff around AI. So as you can imagine, this is a topic that is very much in the front of all of our radars, and we think it's really important that the staff is together for what is some joint learning and collaboration. So, and this is, again, only a vote to change the high school early release time, that date.
Okay, take a motion first, and then,
I'm going to amend my motion because it says half hour. Move to amend the SY 25-26 calendar to reflect early release time change.
on Friday, September 26th.
Second.
Okay.
Second the whole
We have a
motion.
second. Any discussion before we just specify it's a single early release time change?
Every day is early release day.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor? All opposed? It carries 6-0. Thank you. Okay, and then Carla, can we have an impromptu motion here to take E5 and E6 out of order, please?
Move to take out of order E5 and E6.
Is there a second? Seconded by Tom. No discussion on this one. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, Phil, we will go to you, and we can start with meal prices.
Thank you very much for doing that, I appreciate it. The first one is the memo looking for your approval to raise the price of adult meals that are served in the cafeteria from $5 to $5.25. As I outlined in the memo, that is to get us in compliance with the requirements of the USDA Food and Nutrition Program. You know, essentially, we're not allowed to subsidize adult meals with funding that's being provided for student meals. And so there's a little workbook, it's not even a workbook, it's an Excel spreadsheet they give you to calculate what that price should be. And for this past year, it should have been $5.02, we were at $5. So $5.25 should keep us covered, I'd hope, for at least the next 3 years. So we don't have to commit every year and change the price.
Phil, it's currently 5:02, right?
No, right now, it's currently 5.
Okay.
The requirement was 5.02.
Gotcha.
But that's a minimum, not a exact requirement. Yep. Okay, is there a motion?
Move to increase the adult meal price from $5 to $5.25.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Tom. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? And it carries. Thank you very much. And Phil, we can go to the pre-Q4 update as well.
So the next thing in your packet, which does not require any votes tonight, this is more informational as to where we are in terms of the fiscal year 25 close. We are at this point we'll be able to prepay $1.2 million in special ed tuition, set aside, and we've also ordered $350,000 as part of the IT refresh, and we be transferring $225 to the special ed, I want to say, reserve fund. That will be done as well. And we are still anticipating that we will be returning approximately $75,000 back to the town when all is said and done. You know, the year-end close takes a while because we still got a lot of outstanding invoices to come in to be paid. We've got POs that need to be closed. So the numbers are at a bit of a state of flux, but overall, nothing is materially going to change. And if you look at, I did provide you, the interim reports, and again, these are all subject to change. And I know at the next meeting, I will come in with the official request for the transfers that will need to be done to close out the books. But it hasn't changed much from what we've been showing for the last couple of quarters. We did add the last one, we put together a list of the scholarship funds that are under the, not the control, but the town oversees those, and they're not on the school department's books, and that's the 6th page of the reports that I provided to you. There's no surprises, no real changes. I'm happy to report that for the extended year program, we were able to get that to, it'll be slightly above break even for the year, which is where, we want it to be. And they've got a good plan in place for next year in terms of how they're going to be running the program. So I think I think at least I've got my understanding of that one in pretty good condition right now, so. Other than that, that's what we have.
Great. Any questions?
And when is our next meeting? August?
20, it's the Thursday.
Okay.
It's a Thursday in the 20s. I don't remember.
21st or 28th?
Yeah, I think it's the 21st, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I do just want to say again, I appreciate all the help I've gotten from everyone in the district, especially Kate, my assistant business manager, but the whole staff in general. I tend to do things a little bit differently, like I am now threatening to close POs for people because they still have some open, but it's been working well.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we will return to our regularly scheduled programming here, and we've got Ms. Callanan on the Zoom as well. Dr. Moszewski, anything from you on the student handbook before we hand to Ms. Callanan?
Yeah, I'll give a quick intro. Just like in your packet, you'll find both the handbook for the district-wide handbook and also the RMHS handbook. Both have also gone through a close look and review from legal counsel at this point as well. So I guess we can start with the high school handbook. I'll let Jess share whatever she'd like to share, but I would like to give her a thank you. I think something I know that has been a priority for the committee is ensuring the role of the school council in developing the handbook. And I'd like to say that I think over the last couple of years, Principal Callanan has done a really nice job in partnering closely with the school council at the high school to have a product that I think reflects both the viewpoints of all of those involved. So I think true partnership on that. Jess did a good job also outlining all of the changes that are highlighted there. But Jess, I don't know if there's anything that you want to share in terms of the handbook, or if you just wanted to open up for questions or thoughts.
Thank you, Dr. Malachevsky. Thanks for listening to me tonight, everybody on the school committee. I obviously can take any questions that people may have. What I did this year was I retyped the entire handbook because there were a lot of formatting issues. We added the translation piece in the beginning of the handbook to align it with the other handbooks of all the other schools. And what I tried to do, which is something I know Mr. Wise had been looking for us to do, is go through the district policies, the school committee policies, and the district handbook, and anywhere where I could take out wording that was either duplicative or incorrect, I did that and replaced it with links from the district's handbook or the school committee policies. And so you'll see a lot of links in there, and I did that intentionally with working with my school council to make sure that there's nothing in conflict in the high school handbook or included that doesn't need to be included because it's already a policy published by the school committee or the district.
Okay. Any questions? Go ahead, Tom.
Question, just a point, or thank you. So Jess, thank you for the work that you've continued to do over the last couple of years and the partnership that's there. It's clear in looking through it. The links are straightforward, they work. So thank you for that as well. There's a couple points in here that it just says appendix underbar. It's not like filled in yet. Maybe you have that finalized in your version.
And it's, Mr. Wise, is that what you said?
Yeah, it says refer to appendix, and then there's an underbar. It doesn't have A, B, C, D, or E. It's just a blank that you're probably waiting to fill in based on something else coming in.
Yeah, I noticed that this evening, and both of them, those areas should both say Appendix C, which I will make sure is updated before it's published on the website.
Okay. And there's one other point. I can find exactly what page it is or send it to you later, but it says move to a different section, which I think you're implying you're going to move it to a different section, or you were thinking about doing it, but you hadn't finished it yet, or maybe I'm misunderstanding that text where it says move to a different section.
Do you know what page it's on?
In our packet, it's on, of course, I'm not seeing it now, so hold on a second. Page 35, the top of page 35 of your document. Yes. It's right above the quick guide for RPS attendance policies. It's the student leadership section about how they're supposed to be held accountable to a higher standard, basically.
I'm almost there, sorry.
No problem. I know, it's a long document. It's shorter now than it used to be, though.
It is shorter. I finally successfully made it a little bit shorter. It's at the top of page
35.
Oh, yeah.
None of these are holding me up from approving it at all. This is just like minor things, and you guys have done a great job so far. I just wanted to see if there's like minor cleanups at the end there that can be done.
And I absolutely had a typo in there. It said RMJS, which we're not a junior school, so I should say HS. Yes, I will get back to you on that. I think I might have already moved it to somewhere else, but I can follow up with you on that. Some of it was redundant, and I was trying to get rid of the redundancies as well because it was just confusing.
Yeah.
But I can look at that again and see where I intended to move that.
Great, thank you. As I said, overall, it's much cleaner. The formatting is much better. The links are phenomenal. You can see the feedback of the school council already. So I want to thank you overall for all the work and effort that's been put into it.
Thank you, and I do want to say my school council is amazing. We did this faster than I anticipated, and they just did a great job and had great input, all of them. So, thank you.
Laura.
I just wanted to point out another edit on page 15 in the report card grade scale. F goes from 0 to 59, and D goes from 63 to 66. So there's just a couple numbers missing in there, and I know from experience that students will use any loophole available to them to argue about the relationship between numbers and grades, so you may just want to fill that gap.
I will look into that. Sorry about that. We don't want any numbers left out, that's for sure.
It's missing the D minus.
D minus.
It's missing the D minus.
Yep.
Okay, I'll correct that.
Okay. And then I'm sure you're already on top of this, but given that we approved a minor update to the school calendar tonight, I don't know if the one that's currently in here is the one we just approved or the prior iteration, so, yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I can replace that, Mr. Brown.
Oh, yep, Dr. Quorum, we have a question in the audience here.
Jeffrey Quorum, Ridge Road. I noticed a number of things as I was going through, particularly in the highlighted section. We would need Tom's Grammarly here, that it says the GPA used will be either the weighted or the unweighted, whichever is highest. But since you're comparing two things, it should be whichever is higher. Also, in that section, there's a link for a National Honor Society. It says insert link to NHS website, so that link is missing. There are a couple places where it says there are hyphens that are not needed between like a minimum of 4 dash graded. It should be just 4 space graded. And somewhere there's a 12 dash or 40 dash hours and 12 dash calendar month, which should be 12 calendar months with a space and not a hyphen. I also noticed the part about valedictorian and salutatorian. There's a highlighted part that says this is encouraged but not mandatory. It would be, I think, an improvement to the policy if it said that students shall be given the opportunity but not required to give a speech, so that it's clear that when it says encouraged, is encouraged that the school district is encouraged to give the valedictorian and salutatorian policy, or are you encouraging the salutatorian and valedictorian to make those speeches, and they will always be given the opportunity? Do you see what I'm saying there? You look a little puzzled in that.
No, well, I don't know who you're
Okay, yeah.
saying is looking puzzled.
Yeah, you're not at a mic. I think she can hear, unfortunately, but I think we'll catch it and figure out how to make sure we adjust for the feedback. Jeff.
I did hear the last portion about the valedictorian and salutatorian, and that what was included in there was a consensus by the school council, and so that was why we reworded it in that manner. But I didn't hear the other portions of what was brought up, so I apologize.
Well, I wanted to be sure that when you say encouraged, that you would definitely give the salutatorian and valedictorian the opportunity to make that. Right here, the wording isn't clear that the valedictorian and salutatorian would definitely have the opportunity. It seems like you're encouraging the principal to give them that opportunity, but it's not required, right? It's not mandatory. So is it, I mean.
That is correct. It's not mandatory for them to speak at graduation, which is, I think, your question.
No, that's not my question.
It's a question of the intent of the encouragement. Is the intent to say, is the intent to say that the students have the option not to give a speech? Or is the intent to say that the school has the option not to allow the students to speak? It's,
The intent is, Mr. Brandt, that the students do not have to speak if they don't want to speak, because the way it was previously worded, it implied that they had to speak, and so the school council wanted to change it to give them the option to speak.
And Dr. Quorum's point is that by using the word "this," it could be read as the students being given the opportunity to speak is what is optional, meaning the school has the option not to present that opportunity. It could be read that way.
I can clean up the wording. The intent is that they have the option to decline speaking if they don't feel comfortable.
But I want to be sure that they are definitely given the opportunity.
Yes, they are.
Right, that's not clear from the wording that's here. Also, it says, in the event of a GPA tie, the valedictorian and salutatorian will be determined out to the 100th decimal place of the GPA. That doesn't actually say what to do in the fact of a tie if they're actually tied out to the 100th place.
That's legacy.
I really can't hear.
Coming through, but
Is it better if I speak here? Are you hearing it better?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the section right above it, it says, in the event of a GPA tie, the valedictorian and salutatorian will be determined out to the 100th decimal place of the GPA. So the wording's a little funny. I mean, the valedictorian is determined out to the, it's like, but also you're not actually saying what happens in the case that they tie to the 100th place of the GPA, right? If they have exactly the same grades.
Yeah, which actually happened 2 years ago with the salutatorians, and there were two,
right?
and both of them spoke at graduation.
So the wording there is not clear and obviously does not encompass the situation that you had 2 years ago. So it would be improvement if you could figure out a better wording.
Well, previously, Dr. Farmer, there was no specification as to what happened, and so that actually was added last year so that it was clearer. That happened in my previous school district. We had ties several times, and so it's really important to be specific about to what decimal point you're going out to. And so if there was a statistical tie to the 100th, to the decimal that it's described in the handbook, then there would be two valedictorians. And if there was a tie for salutatorian, there would be two salutatorians, or three if that happened. But I can look at the wording. Again, the school council and I did wordsmith this quite intensively, but I can look at it again and try to clean it up.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anything else on the RMHS handbook? All right, do we have a motion?
Move to approve the 2025-2026 RMHS Student Handbook.
Is there a second?
Second.
I think Tom just beat you to the punch. All right,
Minor friendly amendment,
sure.
as mentioned and agreed to be amended.
Sure.
Yes.
Yep. I assume you accept that as a friendly amendment?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? And it carries 6-0. Thank you, Ms. Callanan.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Milczewski, do we want to say anything about the district-wide handbook?
Great. This should be pretty straightforward, too. So I think the biggest updates you'll see around the correct definition of sexual harassment, general formatting cleanup, and then also some updated links to the revised Title IX grievance procedure. So other than that, it's pretty consistent with what we've had this past year, so.
Okay. Can we take a motion, and then we'll see if there's any discussion?
Move to approve the 2025-2026 District-Wide Student Handbook.
Second?
Second.
Seconded by, I'm going to give that one to Sarah. Any discussion on this one? Okay, all in favor? All opposed? And it carries 6-0. Thank you very much. I've lost track of what's next because I'm 600 pages into the packet right now. Let me scroll back up.
Collaborative.
Oh, collaborative boards. So I should have included a memo in this one, maybe for Laura's benefit, if nothing else. So we belong to two collaboratives where the school committee is responsible for appointing a designee to the board of the collaborative. The options, I think in both cases, are either a committee member or the superintendent. I think in the case of both schools, or both collaboratives, it's all superintendents. I don't think there's any instance where there's a school committee member. So we historically have appointed Dr. Milichewski. So I guess what I'll do is I'll open it up for discussion if anybody has a different perspective on how to approach these collaborative boards. And if there's none, I'll take a couple of motions from Carla.
I told Tom I was jokingly going to nominate myself or Jen Stice, but
See if
not going to happen.
see if anybody seconds your nomination, but you're welcome to
I
try.
have no interest in doing it.
Okay.
Get them in there.
Okay, Carla, is there a motion?
Vote to appoint the superintendent to the SEAM Collaborative Board.
Second.
Seconded by Tom. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? It carries 6-0. Carla, one more motion, please.
Vote to appoint the superintendent to the North Shore Education Consortium Board.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? It carries 6-0. Thank you. Okay, so review and adjust liaison and subcommittee appointments is our next item, and I need to scroll very far down in the packet once again.
167.
167, thank you, that's helpful.
Quick page.
This is one of our longest packets in a while, probably since the last time we did
Two
handbooks.
handbooks.
Yeah.
Handbook will do it.
It was probably this long last time we did handbooks and not since then. Okay, so, annually post-reorg, we would, we take a look at our liaison and subcommittee assignments. Sometimes we actually do this prior to reorg, but after elections, but we haven't gotten to it yet. We will certainly need to do some adjustments or some appointments here because we've got several vacant slots that are actually critical that we fill. We also have a new member, and then this is obviously an opportunity for us as well to kind of rebalance and think about, appointments that we'd like to move in or out of. So on 167 and 168 in your package is my best understanding of sort of our current cohort of assignments. If there's anything missing, please let me know. We currently have 3 positions by my count that are vacant, so that we'll need to find somebody for, and then again, any additional shuffling we might do. The Recreation Committee, which was filled by Chuck. The Recreation Committee is one of the active designations where you're a full committee member and you're a voting member of that committee. It's not a liaison, sort of keep up with what's going on type of role. The Policy Subcommittee also is an active seat that meets regularly, and the Charter Review Committee as well is a, full voting member of that committee. So maybe what I'll do is open it up if anybody has preferences for anything that they'd like to switch out of, if they have an interest in any of those committees. Laura, if you have any perspective on your interest in any of those 3 or anything else that you see on the menu here.
I'd be happy to step in for the Recreation Committee.
Okay.
At least,
Sean.
in terms of the vacancies.
I forgot to transition to you that there's a request that we refill an open position that we have on the Celebration Committee.
Celebration Committee.
There's apparently a limited amount of money left, and the Celebration Committee is looking to see if some grant requests coming out of the schools could be used for some of that. So they had hit us right around town meeting or something. We couldn't fill at that point in time what was going on. Maybe a little bit later, sometime in May, but we should put the Celebration Committee back on our list. I think, Aaron, you were our last designee at one point in time, but they have meetings like literally once or twice a year.
I was gonna say, I don't even think.
It's very limited. But it is generally to approve a grant of some sort. It was originally, I think, formed for the 375 or 350 celebration, and it's sort of transitioned its use a little bit from there. But we had a request like right before we transitioned positions, so I should have notified you of that. I apologize.
Okay, so that's one more vacancy to consider. Go ahead.
Sorry, where was the grant coming from?
It's leftover money from however the celebration money was given, and it can be given, as a charitable donation. The grant fund can grow year over year if somebody decides to give to it. But it's just a leftover amount of money from the previous thing. I think it's like $8,000 or something like that. If I, off the top of my head, I could be wrong, but off the top of my head. The other thing I was going to say is, while I love being student advisory committee, with my travel schedule right now. It would be great if somebody else who can actually come and meet with them and meet with Jess is able to take that role. I'm just not around enough.
How often is it?
So when we were, and it's unfortunate that Jess dropped off, but when we first kicked it off, we were trying to meet with them once a month during Flex Block here in school. The last year or two, it's, Jess meets with them, but my involvement has waned for the reasons I just mentioned. They then, whoever the liaison is for that role, will work with them to understand the role of the Student Advisory Committee and what the role of the Student Advisory Committee is in bringing things to us and fitting the 3 criteria of policy, budget, goals, and then helping Jess and them to tailor what should be 4 times a year visits to us, with us, to talk through issues of importance for the students.
I'd be happy to do that.
So, yeah. And it's important that when you do it, it's like, let's make sure we talk about things that we can control, not something that the administration should do for you,
Right.
but it's what's in the realm of policy or budget goals. Sometimes that takes massaging. Sorry, Erin, go ahead.
I would also be happy to do that, only because I'm struggling with all the evening commitments, and how much it's crossing with my particular job. So if there are things that are perhaps during the day that might actually be better suited for me to be able to attend. So I was gonna say, you might be interested in like PAIR or CPAC.
I mean, there's a lot of things that I feel
Yeah.
comfortable stepping into, so if scheduling wise, if that's a big bonus for you, then absolutely.
It's not that there's something I don't want to do, to be clear to any of these groups, it's just that I'm definitely struggling with attendance more in the evening thing. So like, I'm happy to stay on policy subcommittee, because, we've always been like adaptive to when we meet, but, so anything that's more during the day is probably better suited. I cannot do rec committee, that's the only one.
Cannot do rec committee. When does rec committee meet? Do you remember off the top of your head?
Monday
Which
nights or
night of the week
Tuesday
it is?
nights.
Okay.
Yeah, I wish I could do rec committee, but I can't, I don't think so.
So we already got Laura on rec committee, so we're good there. Laura, do you, so CPAC and PARA are probably the two that you probably want to swap out of one of those?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Wouldn't
even-
want to, but need to
right,
for scheduling
right,
conflict
if-
reasons, yeah. Do you have a? do you have
Of
a
the two, I would
preference?
probably lean toward PAIR, just because I have very limited to no experience with CPAC on a personal level, and so I'm just not as familiar with that sphere.
I'd be willing to try and figure out how to pick up CPAC. It's been a while that I wanted to try and work with them on policy stuff for CPAC as well, so it could be a good overlap between policy and CPAC.
How do you feel about that?
That's fine with, yeah, I carry guilt for what I miss, so,
Okay. So what I have here is Laura stepping into rec committee and PAIR, Tom stepping into CPAC, Aaron to student advisory committee. That leaves us with,
when does charter review meet, or what?
charter review has got to be approaching.
It should be approaching sunset.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna, just because it's approaching sunset, I was gonna volunteer for that one unless anybody feels strongly about it.
Who was on that?
Chuck was.
Chuck was on it.
Chuck was on it.
For us, yeah.
Chris is the chair of it.
Yeah. That one's got to be approaching the finish line. It's 2 years in at this point, and it's supposed to be kind of a one-off.
Most of what they've already voted on most of it, is
Right.
what they said at town meeting, so.
Yeah. So, I mean, unless somebody feels strongly, I'll throw my name on for charter review committee. So that leaves, if we need a third member on the policy subcommittee, which I don't think we
Technically, we don't
have to
need
have a
one.
third. So that's an option, unless
Yeah, and
anybody's.
the other thing is, by definition of subcommittees, the chair of the committee, the super committee, us, could be de facto a third member, if we needed a third member. So if we come to a point and Aaron and I are like, you know what, yes, no, and it doesn't move, we can say, Sean, we need you to come to a meeting and discuss the pros and cons to vote a third member.
You and me going back and forth on policy all day long, love it.
Not for me.
Yeah. Okay, anybody dying to get onto policy subcommittee otherwise? All right, why don't we plan to progress with 2? I'll be happy to, get involved if we need to, at any point, or proactively if there's something that we think would benefit from, more folks getting involved, whatever. We'll stick with 2 there. Recreation committee is addressed. Charter review committee is addressed. I think we've got.
Celebration.
Celebration.
You can, if you want me to throw my name, if it's really limited, you can throw my name on it. I mean, the permanent building committee, anything school related has all been Killam, so I don't really, it's just Carla.
I go to the permanent building committee meetings anyways.
Right.
We don't need 2. You can just.
We put it, originally we had the 2 on there
Because of
when
this
Killam was coming out.
Killam stuff.
And so we previously had done 1.
Okay. My take would be, let's make sure we're committed to student advisory committee, so maybe we'll throw Sarah on celebration committee, if that's okay. All right, all right, let me just recap that one more time. Laura will step into rec committee and pair. Tom will take over Aaron's seat on CPAC. Sarah on celebration committee. Aaron moves to the student advisory committee. I will take charter review and be an as-needed member on policy. Good? Everybody else good, sort of good where they are? And Carla will meet on Killam 17 times a week for the rest of her life. Okay. All right, good. Thanks, everyone. That's a little.
We figured out the foyer today.
Yeah, there you go.
Right, Tom?
Yeah, we did. Took a little while, but we got there.
Yeah.
All right.
Vestibule.
The vestibule. The vestibule.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone. That has the potential to be a little bit messy, but that was relatively painless. All right, so the next item is the letter to the select board regarding PEG services. A little bit of context for how this came about. I won't give the big context because I think you all know the big context. Context for how we decided to put this on the agenda was Carla and I felt it was important, or agreed that it was important to articulate to the school, or to the select board, the importance of the E in PEG and the educational services that RCTV has provided. We did want to acknowledge that RCTV has been a great partner, but it's also very much about the importance of the E services sort of writ large, and ensuring that the select board knows that, whatever path they sort of choose to go down, and we respect that it's in their purview, but whatever path they choose to go down, sort of pulling the plug on the services that we're currently getting from RCTV would be very, very disruptive at any point in time for us, but certainly at this point in time. And so we crafted a letter that we both, contributed to and reviewed and iterated on, that I think we both feel good about, and we're hoping the committee will endorse it and we can ship it off to the select board. Carla, or Dr. Milczewski, anything you'd add from our discussion?
No, we wanted to stay out of the fray. We wanted to, just be very appreciative of what we have gotten right now from RCTV and from the PEG services and from Anna Cuevas and all that, and just show the importance of how it's impacted students and how it's impacted job opportunities and how it fits right in with our educational tracks, and next year we're going to be at ULowell.
Yes.
At ULowell.
10 classes, dual enrollment class, UMass Lowell.
Yeah, so we've seen it, right? We've all seen it, and students moving into these fields and, living in LA and doing stuff like that. So it's been really impactful. So we just wanted to continue.
So maybe we can start with a motion and then we'll see if there's any discussion.
Vote to send the proposed letter regarding PEG services to RPS to the select board.
And is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Some minor stuff, if you have it there to edit, Sean.
I do, let me see if I can share.
Really, really minor, so you don't even have to edit it, right? Just, there's that extra space that leads between thank you for consideration and the last paragraph. And then I think we should specifically, and we have done in the past, list all of our names, not just writing school committee and sign it.
Even though they're at the top?
Yes, so you list them, and then under Sean's name, it'll chair, and under Carla, vice chair, the rest of us will say member. But we should all have a signature spot there, and then work with Olivia to get a signature wet or otherwise.
I'll consult a style guide on the extra space, because that was intentional, the salutation blocked off from the paragraphs, but I'll double check I'll check an MLA or something for that. But yeah, we could take that sort of as a friendly amendment. We'll have Olivia print a version that has each of our names on it, and we can all get to the office to sign it. That'd be great.
I appreciate you guys doing this. Something that's, everything that's reflected there directly impacted my RMHS graduate. So I really appreciate that you guys work together to do that.
Sarah?
I wonder if we can amend the sentence, I'm toggling between two tabs here, but around to be a little more data-driven in the impact every year. So, for example, I know, Tom, we had pulled together some stats previously around kind of annually what happens. So, that there's 10 courses that are taught every year by the RCTV staff at the high school, engaging 200 students every year, which is about 20% of the total RMHS student population.
That's 10, it's like 10 sections. It's not 10
It's
discrete courses,
semester
right?
based, so it's 5 courses.
Yeah.
Okay.
So something to add some more data behind that. I think there's the sentence that says, let me go back to it.
Hundreds
of students.
Hundreds
Coursework and other
over the years when it's actually every year.
Hundreds of students annually.
And so like 10 course sections or something.
Yeah, let me see if I can, I don't know, Tom may have to give me permission to share here, but
You want it yourself? Yeah, you are. Hold on a second.
I'll send a request. It's going to ask
Go for it.
one of us if I can give.
You got it. I gave it to you already.
Where? Is it allowing me to share?
I said yes.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening.
Let me see if I can make you,
No, I got booted out of the meeting. Oh, no, I'm back. No, I'm still there.
Machines are uprising.
You two need to stop fighting right now.
Oh, jeez Louise. I'm also doing this on a brand-new computer, so my security settings, my own security settings are currently blocking me from sharing my screen over Zoom. Let me read what I'm proposing here. So that sentence that previously said that have engaged hundreds of students over the years, I think we can revise that to say hundreds of students annually.
Yep.
Does that fit the bill?
Sure.
Okay. All right, any further discussion on this one? Okay, so we will have it printed with those edits, and Olivia can give everybody a heads up when it's available to come to the office and sign.
Did we vote?
We do not vote yet, no.
Okay.
So we'll move to the vote. All in favor of the motion, which was about sending this to the select board? And all opposed, it carries 6-0. Awesome, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, and then our final open session here was discussing continued MASC membership. I realize, sort of with relatively vague description that it may have, implied something that I didn't intend to imply. We chose to put this on the agenda just because, at least since I've been on the school committee, I don't know that it's ever come up that we have optionality about whether or not to be MASC members. It's, you can see the cost for FY '26 there is $7,071, and it's been, less than that in prior years. So it's not been something that we've had an active conversation about. I didn't put this on here because I have frankly, any expectation that we're going to choose not to continue with the MASC. We just sort of thought it was appropriate that before we commit to spending spending this money, we, kind of take a pulse of the committee. Doesn't require a formal vote, but we'll just kind of take a pulse of the committee. As you see in the memo, I outlined some of the services that they provide to us, many of which we take advantage of, some of which we probably haven't taken advantage of as much as we could or should. But field services being a big one, where we have a field director who's assigned to us that can be available to help us, with anything we might be struggling with or trying to work through as a committee. Maybe it's a reflection of the fact that we've been very functional, that we're not terribly familiar with our field director, which is,
Not if you're retired.
this is good. We have a new one, yeah. And then the other, big bucket is policy services, where we do leverage the policy manual and the model policies that MASC provides. They are not responsible for, but they provide the service of keeping policies up to date with changes in MGL and so forth, which is a really valuable service that we certainly take advantage of. Laura's probably somewhere in the midst of charting the course, which
Gotta get
is,
it done.
one of the many trainings and workshops they have available to us as well. By virtue of being members, we can participate in the annual conferences and things, so lots of opportunities there. As I said, we're probably not taking advantage of all of them, but, certainly lots of opportunity for value out of that $7,000. So again, no formal vote, but I'll just open it up if anybody has any thoughts or perspectives one way or the other.
Somebody else, go ahead, you want to say something?
I mean, I would vote that we stay.
Yeah, I mean, the absence of commentary I'll take as assent, and we'll move forward.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, I mean, I didn't want to just dominate necessarily, but I think, well, first of all, the policy stuff is free. Anybody can download it. There's no log in the website, so there's nothing we really get from them in that regard, just to full disclosure. We have used them in the past. I think I might have been the only member of the board at that point in time, when I was causing some dysfunction in the board, and other members of the board decided that we wanted, like, how to execute as a board, which was interesting at the time. So we have used them for that. We used them when we searched for Tom as a superintendent as well, and that was, however, our fee did not cover those things.
Yeah, I didn't include that because that's a buy-up, and that's something we could choose to do even if we weren't members of the MASC, yeah.
I think the charting the course one is the one that is important. Did we ever find out if it's a different fee for members versus non-members?
It's only open to members.
It's only open to members, so that's a de facto given, we have no choice type thing whenever we have a new member of the body. Theoretically, if we don't have a new member next year, which may or may not be the case, we wouldn't need it. But every time we have a new member, we do need to pay this essentially fee as sort, because there's no other way to comply with the MGL law that requires this sort of course.
That's interesting.
So they have a monopoly.
My initial reaction was, why do we have to pay it?
That's why. There's no other option.
We could technically pay for the charting the course class.
They don't offer it to be paid for by anybody that's
You have
not
to be a member.
So it's a $7,000 course for one member for us this year, essentially, if you want to look at it that way.
I have pricey taste, sorry.
But
Take it
7,000
before-
plus
take it
whatever
before
fee we have to pay
September.
for Laura, because it's not free either
Or it's
for
actually,
even members, so, yeah.
Okay. So I'm hearing we're moving forward with some reluctance and some
No choice, no
irritation
problem.
maybe, but
Yeah.
we're moving forward.
irritation, that's a
Okay.
good word.
Okay. All right. That's all we needed on that one, so thank you, everyone. And that brings us to, I believe, our adjournment from open session, unless I missed something.
Jeffrey.
Oh, yep, Dr. Corum, please, sorry. I'm out of practice.
Jeffrey Corum, Ridge Road. I apologize. I didn't get far enough through the packet to get to the the RPS handbook, and I had one comment that I wanted to bring up now, or if you've moved on, I can send it in by email.
Why don't you do that? That would be helpful.
Okay.
Yep, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion?
Move to enter into executive session in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, the superintendent, and will not be returning to open sessions.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Sarah, and Tom, you're contemplating. I don't have to declare it for non-union personnel. I only have to declare it for CBA, if that's what you were thinking
I
about.
was wondering about returning. Are we assuming we're not going to finish the negotiations tonight?
We're definitely not going to
No.
finish, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not intending to attempt to finish tonight,
We're
yeah.
not going to have a vote.
That's what I
Yep.
just want to make sure of.
Yeah, no, good call out. Okay, good. We need a roll call on this one.
Did we get a second?
We got a second from Sarah,
Okay.
and we need a roll call on this one. Laura?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
And Sean, yes. We are adjourned to executive session. Night.